So now, about Buddhism. At the time of Buddha, when Buddha actually, you see, carrying teaching, public teaching, I think he used the language, then I think a common language. Maybe later, I think combined these teaching in Pali text, Pali language. That is, say, publicly sort of teach. Then some selected people, among his disciples, some selected who also have the ability, you see, to see some Bodhisattva like Maitreya Bodhisattva, the Kasa, Kudu Samsala Kasa, Samantapatra Bodhisattva, Manjushri Bodhisattva, our Lokushara Bodhisattva. You see, these form a deity form, not this rough physical, including such sort of disciple. Then another very, very selective, very few individual. Then he carried the teaching of Buddhist Tantrayana. So, right from the beginning, some Buddhist follower, you see, very sort of skeptical about Sanskrit tradition, so-called Mahayana Buddhism, because he not taught these teaching in publicly. So when Nagarjuna come, according sort of Buddhist literature, after 400 years, Buddha passed away. After 400 years, it's Nagarjuna came. So in his writing, like Precious Garland, you see, he mentioned the Mahayana teaching is actually teachings of Buddha, Buddha's own teaching and Sanskrit tradition. So like Paramita Sutra is there in Sanskrit language, and it mentioned the, I think, special practice of Bodhisattva, so that eventually describe Mahayana Buddhism. And then also is some the point in Mahayana Sutra, in Mahayana teaching, the importance of the compassion or inner quality rather than physical, verbal discipline. So Vinaya mainly emphasizes the discipline of physical action, verbal action, not much about mental action. The Mahayana teaching emphasizes more on mental sort of discipline. And also, you see, because you see the improvement of mental thinking, so the infinite altruism, that's bodhicitta, buddhism, right? Bodhicitta emphasis. And with that, 6 paramitas. You see, these are essence of Mahayana Buddhist teaching. And these in Sanskrit language. Some people, some scholar, even you see, they told me Buddha doesn't speak Sanskrit. I think commonly, maybe true. But for selective sort of individual, selective sort of audience, you see, like Nagarjuna, and these really, the great master not only just, you see, good devotion to Buddha, but actually they're very brilliant sort of people, very, very brilliant. You see, these Tangas, the 17 scholars of Nalanda University, monastic university. So sometimes I describe these masters from the Buddhist viewpoint. As a Buddhist, we consider these are really Buddhist masters. But in the academic field, these people are professors of Nalanda University. The way their presentation about Buddha Dharma, not relying on quotation of Buddha, but rather investigation. And they took the liberty, even with Buddha's own sort of teaching, they examine, investigation, logically. Then they found some of Buddha's own teaching, found some contradiction with our actual sort of, investigation. Then they reject even Buddha's own word. They say Buddha taught this for different purpose, not ultimate reality. So since Buddha himself, you see, expressed or taught his disciple, "Oh, my follower, my disciple, monks and nuns and others, should not accept my teaching out of devotion and out of faith, but rather through investigation and experiment." So that means, you see, he made clear among his own teaching, some teaching purposely taught different way. So my follower should examine, not relying on my word. So, like Nagarjuna and all these great masters, you see, they carry investigation. So, one time in Delhi, we have some conference about about historical event about Buddha Dharma. There I mentioned, since Nagarjuna was a kind of person who very, very intelligent one, he even examined Buddha's own word. So he never follow blind faith. He examined. And his thinking is very scientific way of thinking. And then the timing, he came to India, he born in India just after 400-500 years after Buddha's after Buddha. So comparatively closer. Then today's modern scholar after 2,600 years. And then he was Indian. So logically, Indian should know better about India than Western scholars from far away. And then Nagarjuna, a type of person, not just superstitious-minded or blind faith, follower of blind faith. So he examined always. So therefore, the Nagarjuna sort of view about Buddha, about Buddha's teaching, should be really reliable. So he accepted Mahayana teaching. He wrote a lot of commentary about the Panchaparamita Sutra.